Right now, there is a hidden danger creeping across America that almost nobody is paying attention to, a silent shift that experts warn will be fully exposed. By March 2026, when several critical survival items may be completely gone from shelves, and most people have no idea it's happening. But after spending weeks digging through industry reports, interviewing supply chain insiders, and analyzing real purchase data, I've uncovered the truth that mainstream media isn't talking about. What I found shocked even me, because among the items disappearing fastest, one specific supply number 7 on this list might be the most important warning sign of what's coming next. Almost no one is prepared for it. If you think the last few shortages were bad, wait until you see what's happening behind the scenes right now. Stick with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the 13 critical items that preppers, homesteaders, and quietly informed families are stockpiling before the next wave hits, and, trust me, number 7 will absolutely stun you. Number 1. Freeze-dried and long-term food storage right now, as economic pressure tightens and supply chains buckle under unpredictable climate events. Long-term food storage has become the first line of defense for anyone paying attention. Preppers aren't grabbing random cans. They're investing in freeze-dried meals that last 25 years. Because when shelves empty during a crisis, it doesn't matter how much money you have. If food isn't available, you're powerless. Industry data shows Americans spent $11 billion on emergency food in a single year. And with inflation on staples rising month after month, families aren't waiting anymore. Amazon sold over 3,000 emergency food kits in 30 days. And every time Costco, Walmart, or Home Depot restock, the inventory disappears within days. That's not coincidence. That's preparation against collapse. What makes freeze-dried food so valuable is its combination of nutrient preservation, lightweight storage, and decades-long shelf life, allowing you to stock an entire year of meals in a closet without cluttering your home. In a recession or crisis where trucking routes freeze, farmland floods, or fuel shortages halt deliveries, these meals become literal survival insurance. And unlike canned vegetables, modern freeze-dried foods are full meals: lasagna, chicken teriyaki, beef stew, foods that keep morale up when the world outside feels chaotic. The smartest way to build your stock: don't panic buy. Add 1 or 2 buckets every trip, slowly building a supply without straining your budget or raising eyebrows. Start today, because by the time empty shelves tell you it's urgent, it'll already be too late. Your first step toward real food security begins with 1 bucket in your cart right now, while you still have the chance. Number 2, water filtration systems. If food is survival, water is existence, and during any economic collapse or grid-down disaster, it becomes the first resource people lose access to. You can live 21 days without food, but only 72 hours without water. And that brutal biological limit is why water filtration systems are being cleared from shelves faster than any other gear right now. Municipal water contamination is increasing. Aging infrastructure is failing. And every storm, flood, or chemical spill pushes more families into crisis mode as tap water becomes cloudy, unsafe, or completely unavailable. Preppers rely on systems like the Big Berkey, LifeStraw, Sawyer Mini, and AquaBrick, because these filters can remove 99.99% of bacteria, viruses, and protozoa, turning lake water, rainwater, or compromised tap water into safe drinking water instantly. Some high-capacity filters can process nearly 4,700 gallons on a single cartridge years of clean water for your home, even if the grid collapses or your city's treatment plant goes offline. Imagine a 3-week power outage. Bottled water sells out within hours. Neighbors panic, and every store is empty, yet you remain calm because you invested in a filtration system long before the crisis hit. This is the kind of preparation that separates survival from desperation. But a filter alone isn't enough. Pair it with proper water storage containers so you can collect and preserve water when the taps still work. Every crisis teaches the same lesson. The people who suffer most are the ones who wait. Don't gamble with the one resource you absolutely cannot live without. Get a quality filtration system now while they're still affordable and available. And lock in your family's water security before shortages force everyone else into panic. Number 3, solar generators and backup power. When the grid collapses, and experts warn, it's no longer a matter of if, but when your ability to generate. Your own power becomes the dividing line between stability and chaos. In 2025 alone, the U.S. saw multiple large-scale outages triggered by storms, cyber attacks, and aging infrastructure failures, proving how fragile the system really is. Preppers across the country are scrambling to secure solar generators because they provide quiet, renewable, long-lasting energy that doesn't rely on fuel you might never find during a crisis. Systems like the EcoFlow Delta Pro Jackery Explorer and Blue T units are selling out or stuck in weeks-long backorders, and some EMP-hardened models are even waitlisted, because people know that when everything goes dark, these machines keep refrigerators, cold medical devices, running phones charged, and communications online. A solar generator isn't about luxury, it's about survival, especially during blackouts that stretch from days to weeks. In an economic collapse, when utilities cut back, cyber threats increase, and maintenance budgets shrink. You can't depend on the government to keep your power stable. And unlike gas generators, solar systems never run out of fuel. They charge while you sleep. Smart preppers start small with a 1,000 watt-hour system and expand later, building a home power hub piece by piece. Think of what you'd lose without backup. Spoiled food, dead communication tools, unsafe indoor temperatures, zero lighting, and no ability to boil water or run filtration pumps. Power is control, power is safety, and power is independence. Take that control now. Don't wait until your neighborhood goes pitch black and the stores sell out in an hour. Get your first solar unit while the grid still works, because one day, it won't. Number 4. Heirloom seeds. If economic collapse has taught us anything, it's that real security comes from producing your own food. It's not relying on unpredictable supply chains or expensive grocery stores that can empty in a single afternoon. That's why heirloom seeds have become one of the most aggressively stockpiled items in the prepping world, and the reason is simple. Unlike hybrid or GMO seeds, heirloom varieties can be replanted year after. You're giving you a permanent, renewable food source that can outlast any crisis. National Geographic reported a shocking 93% decline in heirloom seed diversity over the last century, meaning the food system is becoming more fragile and more dependent on corporate-controlled seed cycles. Preppers aren't willing to place their survival in someone else's hands. With a seed vault containing 30 to 40 varieties, tomatoes, beans, corn, squash, peppers, potatoes, herbs, you can grow complete nutrition right in your backyard, regardless of what happens to global supply lines, imports, or trucking. One tomato plant can produce 20 pounds of food, and potatoes have saved entire populations from famine. In a long-term economic downturn, where groceries become unaffordable, rationed, or simply unavailable, a home garden becomes a lifeline. Seed vaults last up to 10 years in proper storage, and the food you grow can feed generations if you practice basic seed-saving techniques. This is more than gardening, it's independence, resilience, and control over your family's future. While others fight over the last can of beans, you'll walk into your yard and harvest fresh vegetables for free. Start your garden setup now, because learning these skills takes time, and shortages are coming faster than most people realize. Grab an heirloom seed kit today. Your future food supply depends on it. Number 5. Medical supplies and advanced first aid. When an economic collapse hits, hospitals become overwhelmed in hours, not days. And relying on emergency rooms becomes a dangerous gamble. That's why preppers are investing heavily in advanced medical kits now. It's a tiny plastic box with 3 Band-Aids, but full trauma-ready systems with tourniquets, Israeli bandages, chest seals, suture kits, antiseptics, blood-stopping gauze, and N95 masks that became priceless during the last major crisis. In a real grid-down scenario, ambulances may not come, ERs may turn patients away, and pharmacies could be stripped bare, leaving families without even basic pain relievers or antibiotics. Preppers are preparing now by stocking ibuprofen, acetaminophen, antihistamines, electrolyte packets, gauze pads, and regulators like blood pressure monitors. Many are even using telemedicine consultations to legally obtain emergency antibiotics, such as amoxicillin or azithromycin. Because a simple, untreated infection during a collapse can turn deadly fast. Remember how quickly PPE disappeared during the pandemic? The same thing will happen again as manufacturing halts, transportation freezes, and global supply lines crack under strain. Every disaster exposes the same truth. You must be your own first responder, especially when panic and shortages hit. A well-stocked medical kit gives you the power to treat wounds, stop bleeding, protect respiratory health, and prevent minor problems from becoming life-threatening emergencies. And here's the advantage most people don't realize: many medical supplies are FSA, HSA eligible, meaning you can build your kit using pre-tax dollars. Before moving to food staples in the next chapter, make this your priority. Assemble a real trauma kit, learn basic first aid skills, and secure your medical independence now, before the shelves empty and you're left unprotected in the most vulnerable moment of your life. Number 6. Canned proteins. In every financial crisis, war, or famine throughout history, the people who survived longest were the ones who secured the most protein, not the most carbs. And that's why canned meats, tuna, chicken, salmon, sardines, are disappearing fast as preppers rush to stockpile the nutrients that truly keep the human body strong during stress. Protein isn't optional. Without it, your body starts breaking down muscle for fuel, weakening your immune system and making you more vulnerable to illness at the very moment you need strength and endurance the most. With grain costs skyrocketing 22% in 2025 and meat prices swinging wildly every month, canned proteins are becoming the most stable, reliable source of nutrition during economic turbulence. A single can of tuna gives you about 40 grams of protein, more than half your daily requirement. Canned chicken can be added to rice, pasta, soups, or eaten straight from the can without cooking critical during blackouts. Sardines, often overlooked, are nutritional powerhouses loaded with omega-3 south, calcium, and fats that keep your energy high. No matter how people joke about it, remains one of the most calorie-dense, long-lasting, versatile survival foods on Earth. The smart strategy isn't panic buying it slow. Steady accumulation. Buy 6 cans for normal rotation and 6 more for deep storage. Within a few months, you'll have a serious protein reserve without straining your budget. In a collapse scenario where grocery stores empty and the meat section becomes a ghost town, these cans become literal lifelines. As we transition into the next chapter on foundational staples, remember this: food is fuel, but protein is power. And securing it now gives your body and your family the resilience to survive whatever economic storms are coming next. Number 7. Rice and dried beans after securing protein. The next layer of true long-term survival, and the backbone of nearly every prepper pantry, is the powerful combination of rice and dried beans, two of the most affordable and dependable foods for riding out an economic collapse. Together, they form a complete protein, something even many expensive survival foods fail to deliver. In a world where inflation keeps rising, trucking delays are increasing, and farmland is hit by droughts and floods, these staples offer stability when everything else becomes uncertain. Preppers are buying 50-pound bags of rice and beans and sealing them in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, a process that pushes shelf life from a few years to nearly 30 years, an entire generation of food security for the cost of a single grocery trip. Beans of every kind, black beans, pinto, kidney, chickpeas, lentil store, with almost no effort and deliver fiber, minerals, and slow-burning energy, essential for long-term endurance, especially during physical labor. Rice provides dense calories and cooks easily, even over a basic camp stove or emergency burner. In a collapse scenario where grocery aisles are stripped bare, transportation is halted, or global grain markets spike, these staples turn into survival currency. You can feed your entire family for pennies per meal while others face empty shelves and soaring prices. The smartest approach is simple. Every time you shop, grab 1 extra bag of rice or beans. No panic buying, no financial strain, just steady preparation. Over months, your pantry will quietly transform into a fortress of calories. Before we shift into personal protective equipment in the next chapter, take this step today. Build your foundation with rice and beans, the 2 foods that have kept civilizations alive for thousands of years. Number 8. Personal protective equipment, PPE. Once your food foundation is secure, the next layer of survival is protecting your body from the invisible threats that come with economic collapse: industrial accidents, pandemics, fires, and environmental disasters. PEEP isn't just for hospitals, it is for anyone who wants to safeguard their health when the system breaks down. We learned this the hard way in 2020. Shelves that were full in the morning were stripped clean by afternoon. People paid 10 times normal prices online for basic gear. Preppers refused to repeat that mistake, which is why N95 masks, nitrile gloves, face shields, disposable gowns are being stockpiled again. N95s protect you from 95% of airborne particles, including viruses. Bacteria, wildfire smoke, and chemical pollutants is exactly the dangers that spike during economic instability and infrastructure failures. Nitrile gloves help prevent infections while handling wounds, cleaning contaminated surfaces, or dealing with poor sanitation conditions when water supplies falter. Face shields guard against splashes in hazardous environments, and disposable gowns create a protective layer if you must deal with sick family members or contaminated areas. PPE is one of the cheapest forms of health protection, yet one of the first things to vanish during any crisis because people buy in panic, not preparation. A box of 50 N95 masks or a case of nitrile gloves is affordable today, but priceless when air quality tanks or sickness spreads. Building your PPE reserve now ensures you stay healthy enough to use all the food, water, and tools you've prepared. Yes. As we move into the next chapter on self-defense, remember this: survival isn't just about storing supplies, it's about staying alive long enough to use them. Stock your PPE before fear cleans out the shelves again. Number 9, ammunition and self-defense as economic pressure intensifies and public services stretch thin. One reality becomes impossible to ignore. When crisis hits, you are your own first line of defense. Preppers learned this during the 2020 lockdowns, when ammunition sales surged over 40%, creating months-long shortages that caught millions off guard. That same pattern is emerging again, as instability rises and confidence in rapid law enforcement response collapses. But the prepper mindset isn't about fear or aggression. It's about protection, responsibility, and ensuring your family stays safe when emergency systems fail. Common calibers like 9mm, 223, and 12-gauge routinely sell out or spike in price, because people understand that during disasters, crime rises, desperation spreads, and response times become unpredictable. If you choose to include firearms in your preparedness plan, training is the first and most critical investment. Proper handling, legal awareness, and regular practice transform a liability into a life-saving tool. But self-defense is not limited to firearms. Many preppers opt for pepper spray, tactical flashlights, reinforced door locks, alarms, and home security systems to fortify their homes without lethal force. In a grid-down event, even basic lighting or noise deterrents become powerful barriers against threats. Think about the chain reaction of an economic collapse. Dark neighborhoods, weakened police presence, empty grocery stores, and stressed communities. In those moments, strength and preparation keep you from becoming a target. Before we move into water storage in the next chapter, remember this: your supplies mean nothing if you can't protect them. Build a legal, safe, layered defense plan now, because waiting until chaos hits means you've already lost the advantage. Number 10, portable water containers after securing filtration gear. The next step in true water preparedness is storage, because even the best filter is useless if you have nothing to store clean water in. During economic collapse or infrastructure failure, municipal water systems can shut down for days or weeks, leaving millions scrambling for bottled water that disappears from shelves in hours. That's why preppers are investing heavily in 55-gallon drums, stackable aquabricks, jerry cans, and portable water bladders, giving them the ability to hold anywhere from a few gallons to hundreds. Emergency standards recommend 20 to 30 gallons per person per month, meaning a family of 4 needs up to 120 gallons just to cover drinking, cooking, and minimal hygiene. In a long blackout, when electric pumps stop running and water pressure collapses, stored water becomes more valuable than fuel. The key is choosing BPA-free, food-grade containers that won't leach chemicals, and pairing them with water preservation tablets that keep water safe for years. Aquabricks are perfect for apartments or limited-space homes, stacked neatly under beds or in closets, and can be carried during an evacuation. Large drums are ideal for long-term home storage and can be tucked inside garages or utility rooms. Portable bladders are invaluable for bug-out situations where mobility is everything. Imagine the chaos when people realize they can't flush toilets, cook, or hydrate their families. Panic hits instantly. But with proper storage, you remain stable, calm, and self-sufficient. Before we move to the next chapter on morale items, take action now. Buy your first containers. Fill them while water is still cheap and flowing. And secure the resource that every crisis steals. First clean, dependable water. Number 11, coffee and comfort, non-perishables. As we move deeper into crisis planning, it's time to acknowledge a truth most people overlook. Survival, ISNT, just physical IS, mental, and your morale can make or break you during an economic collapse. That's exactly why preppers are stockpiling items like coffee, tea, chocolate, honey, granola bars, instant cocoa, dried fruit, and other small comforts that become priceless when life grows dark and stressful. After tariffs hit in April 2025, coffee purchases spiked instantly because Americans realized 96% of our coffee is imported, and any disruption tariffs, shipping delays. Political instability can send prices soaring overnight. But coffee isn't just a luxury, it's a routine, an anchor, a psychological stabilizer when everything else feels unstable. The same goes for sweets, snacks, and mood-boosting foods. They keep spirits up, fight depression, and give families emotional relief during frightening, powerless moments. Honey deserves special attention because it's one of the only foods on Earth that never spoils, making it both a morale booster and a practical medicinal tool for wounds and sore throats. Picture yourself after 3 days of blackout, cold morning air, kids anxious, uncertainty everywhere, and then you hand out warm cocoa or brew a cup of coffee on your camp stove. That single act restores normalcy, and normalcy restores strength. These are the items that make survival humane, not miserable. As we move next into communication tools, remember this: morale is a survival asset, not a luxury. Stock these items now while they're affordable and everywhere. Because once panic hits, comfort becomes one of the first casualties. Number 12, emergency communication devices. If there's one thing every collapse, disaster, and crisis has proven, it's that information is survival, because the moment the grid goes down, your $1,000 smartphone becomes nothing more than a dead flashlight. Cell towers fail when power grids fail, and once backup batteries drain, communication networks collapse rapidly. That's why preppers are investing heavily in resilient communication gear like two-way radios, ham radios, satellite communicators, and crank-powered emergency weather radios. These devices keep you connected when the entire world around you goes dark. With a simple handheld radio, your family can coordinate during evacuations, stay in contact across neighborhoods, or receive updates when roads close or danger spreads. Ham radios, used by experienced operators, can reach across cities or even states, something no cell phone can do during a major outage. And for absolute worst-case scenarios, satellite communicators like Garmin, InReach, or Spot devices work anywhere on the planet, from mountains to deserts, with no towers required. Yes, they're expensive, but when you need medical help, whether alerts, evacuation warnings, or simply reassurance that loved ones are safe, they become priceless lifelines. Crank-powered weather radios add another layer of security by providing no AA alerts without needing batteries or electricity. Just turn a handle and you reconnected to life-saving information. Communication failures create confusion, panic, and bad decisions. But having your own devices keeps you informed, calm, and several steps ahead of the crisis. Before we move into the final chapter on fuel, take action now. Secure at least one family radio set and one emergency weather radio. When the grid drops and the silence becomes terrifying, your ability to communicate becomes your ability to survive. Number 13, fuel storage and stabilizers as we reach the final pillar of true crisis readiness. It's time to confront one of the most overlooked, but absolutely critical elements of survival: fuel. In any economic collapse, fuel shortages hit immediately and violently. Gas stations run dry within hours, not days, and prices skyrocket overnight. We saw this during the Colonial Pipeline hack in 2021. When people waited in line stretching for miles just to get a few gallons, some stations had no fuel at all for weeks. Preppers learned from that chaos, which is why they're now stockpiling gasoline, diesel, and propane, but doing it safely and strategically. What many don't know is that gasoline spoils in 3 to 6 months unless you use stabilizers like stubble or pry, which can extend its life to 2 years or more. This is crucial because in a collapse where supply chains freeze, refineries shut down, and transportation halts, you can't count on a single drop of fresh fuel. Propane, on the other hand, never degrades and can power stoves, heaters, lanterns, and even generators for weeks, making it a top-tier prep. But fuel storage must be done carefully. Use only approved containers, keep them away from heat sources, follow local regulations, and rotate your stock regularly so it stays fresh. When the grid goes down, when winter storms hit, when evacuation becomes necessary, or when your generator is the only thing keeping your home warm and your food from spoiling, fuel becomes far more valuable than money itself. As we move into the outro, remember this: mobility and heat are survival. And those who store fuel wisely always stay one step ahead of disaster. Secure your fuel now because in a true collapse, it will be the first resource everyone fights for. Now that you understand all 13 critical items, the message is simple. Hope is not a plan, action is. Start small, stay consistent, and build your stockpile piece by piece before panic buying and shortages take over. Your future depends on what you prepare today, not tomorrow. Protect your family, strengthen your resilience, and stay ready for whatever comes. Time to prepare is now before everyone else realizes they should have.